Hello and welcome to my video. So today I will be doing a review of these watercolors. The set that I got has 36 colors. I'll show you them right now. Yeah, I've been using a palette, has a palette. And I think it was around $30 Australian off of Aliexpress. In this video I will be showing you some of the drawings I did with this paint so you can get an idea of what you can do with them. I'll also be showing color fastness. I did like a little color fastness test. And I'll also be talking what I like about these paints and what I don't like about it. Anyway, so let's begin. This set comes with a little swatch sheet here. This is the color selection that you get. Here is a closer view of all of the colors and the color names. I think the color selection is pretty nice. Yep, so these are all the colors. And yes, you can see there's plenty of nice colors. I really like a lot of the blues. Now on to some paintings that I have made with these watercolors so you can see what kind of thing is possible with it. So here's one of my paintings. If you want to see the actual painting process, I will link it because I actually made a real-time painting process for this one. These paintings as well. The silver wasn't part of the set, this is just acrylics, but yeah. It's the watercolors. The actual paint is really nice, it's not chalky at all. And most of the colors are very transparent, except there's one that I found was a little bit cloudy. It was this little one, but I found that fine because this is such a big selection of blues that it was actually nice to have one of them that was a little bit opaque. It was just another different effect, I guess. So yeah, that would be one of my positives. The fact that it's really nice to work with. It doesn't feel like chalky at all, no problems in that regard. And I really like the color selection, so those would be my positives. In this little drawing here, I actually painted the little berries inside of this first, and then put the blue on top, so it also doesn't lift too much. So you can get some nice effects with it, but it does lift a little bit, so that is nice to know, I think. Depending on kind of effect you're going for, it might be something that you care about. Okay, now up to my light fastness tests. So I put little bands of each color on this sheet of paper. Then I just folded it over and put it up in my window that gets the most sun for 2 months. So both of these were hanging up on my window facing the sun for 2 months. Roughly, it's not exactly 2 months. So here's how they did. These ones did pretty well, I think. Some of them faded. They're obviously not like light, fast paints, but they didn't completely fade. These ones didn't do as well. This one especially faded a lot. But most of these are still pretty good, I'd say. I mean, some of the purples and the pinks and the oranges did fade a lot, but it was in full sun in the window. So, but that might be something you care about, depending if whether you want to hang the paintings up on the wall or not, because you have to keep in mind that they will fade. They're not super light fast like some more expensive paints might be, but in a sketchbook, completely no problem. So if it's just for sketchbook drawings, I wouldn't worry about it. And even if you're hanging it up on the wall in a shady area and you don't mind if it fades a little bit, that's also fine. I'll show you for context a comparison of a light fastness test that I did for my old watercolor set. This has also been hanging up on my window for about 2 months in the sun, and you can see that it faded much more. The most faded colors here and here don't even match up to how much these faded. The only one that did okay is probably the brown and the yellow and the black, but the rest, you can clearly see that they faded. And in my sketchbooks, these paints have had no problem. I didn't even realize they were so bad at being light fast. And I also had a painting hanging up in the shade, and it did fade quite a bit, but you can still see the painting, and it's been hanging up there for about 3 years probably, so it's not something that you should worry about unless you're selling the paints or hanging it up in a sunny spot. But that is still good to know, I feel. And just so you know which colors these are, I painted them all in the same order as this sheet. So these ones would be matching up in order, and then it goes to this row. So yeah, we start from here, matching up from the purples. And these ones matching up. And the last ones, just so you can compare which colors are the most likely to fade. And the ones that didn't fade, I can't guarantee that they won't fade later, because it's only been 2 months. So it's just it's something to keep in mind. They're not light fast paints like some more expensive ones might be. Personally, for me, the light fastness is good enough that it is mostly a positive, because I only really draw in my sketchbook. I don't really hang up my paintings, but it might be a negative for you if you plan to sell your paintings or hang them up on a wall. Another thing that I really like about these paints is the metal tin. It feels really nice and sturdy, and it's pretty cute as well. Look at the little parrot. And I really like how it has a tray for mixing colors. I found it easy to use and comfortable. But there's one thing about the container that I don't like, is that this part here that's holding the paints is made out of kind of like really flimsy plastic that you would expect to be more for temporary packaging, not something that's supposed to last a while. I think that it might start to crack and break after some use. I actually think that I've seen packaging for temporary packaging for things you buy in shops that you're supposed to throw away that's stronger than this. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. But so far it actually hasn't been bothering me too much, because you don't like slam the paintbrush into the paint, so it's not too bad. And I assume you'd still be able to use the paints just as normal, even if it does crack. So it's not that big of a deal, but it is something that I think kind of reduces the quality of the packaging. And I understand why they would probably do it, since it's only $30 for 36 paints. They needed, and like it's in a metal tin already, right? They probably needed to cut the costs on packaging somewhere. I found these paints really nice to work with. Definitely much better than the cheap paints you would buy from a store, like ones meant more for children. I know there's different levels of the children's paints as well. There's like the really bad ones and ones that are usable. Well, I think these ones are probably a level above that. They actually feel really nice to use. I think I haven't had any problems with the actual blending, mixing colors, or applying them. All of it was great, but I think the actual paint quality, maybe they just saved some money on like the actual pigments, the color fastness of the pigments. So yeah, I had no problem with them at all. This package also has a little ring on the back so you can hold it. I haven't been using it, but I guess if you want it, it is there. Don't know how comfortable it'll be to hold. I haven't tried it, but yeah, that's something that maybe you care about. Okay, so anyway, do I recommend that you get these paints? I think that if you're just starting out and you know that you want to do watercolors, because although $30 is pretty cheap for this amount of paint, it's still money. You probably don't want to waste and buy a bunch of things you don't need, but if you do want to start doing watercolor, it's definitely something that I would recommend. Or if you already have some watercolor, but it's not a very large color selection, because I did have some watercolor before, but it didn't even have a magenta. So I really like that this one has a broader color selection. So I think if you don't have watercolors but you want to start, or you already have some watercolors but not many colors, this might be a good thing for you to get. But I think if you already have watercolors that you like and you have a good color selection, then I don't really see the point of getting them, I guess, unless you really want to try these out. I don't think there's anything specific about these paints that you should get them for. They're really nice and I enjoyed working with them, but there's no need to go out and buy every single type of paint, which is great, because otherwise if I did that, personally, I would probably have a lot more paint. So yeah, just think about whether you really need it or whether it would make you happy. If you already have paints that are similar enough to this, you probably don't need it. But yeah, I would recommend it if you do need to get a bit more paint or stock up on your color selection or anything like that. So anyway, hopefully that was useful for you to figure out whether you might want this paint or not. I also have some other reviews of paints and products like that as well, and I'll probably make more, so if you like that type of thing, feel free to subscribe, I'm not gonna stop you. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you all next time. Bye!